Today's episode of the SportsMax Ultimate Cricket 11. Welcome to week 2. We discuss the all-rounders today and have 12 on our short list. Here are the 12 players that we'll be looking at. Sobers, Botham, Vittori, Stokes, Hadley, Khan, Cairns, Callis, Dev, Pollock, Miller and Hassan. Only one can make it to the Ultimate Test 11. Remember, there are 3 voting segments. The zone team selections carry a weight of 30%. Our panel of experts also have 30% say, while the selections of our viewers will have a value of 40%. For example, on Friday, the panel of experts chose Brian Lara, Sachin Tendulkar and Vivian Richards as their picks for the batting positions 3 to 5. The zone team chose BC Lara, Sachin Tendulkar and Don Bradman. What that means is that Lara and Tendulkar, of course, are safe. But it will be your votes that will determine whether it will be Ivia Richards or Sir Don Bradman that makes the final key batting spot. To vote, log on to www.sportsmax.tv/ultimate and select your team. You have until the 22nd of May to cast your votes, and the Ultimate Test 11 will be revealed on Tuesday, the 26th of May. Now, these are the online numbers for batsmen 3 to 5. Lara at the moment, 24.76. Tendulkar, 17.61. Viv Richards, 14.41. Bradman at the moment is at 13.95. So this is where we're at. We're pretty much halfway through the team, George, because we got the 2 openers, we got batting 3 to 5, and we're in that number 6 all-rounder spot that we'll decide on today.
Yeah, it gets easier from here. The openers would have been a bit of a slog, but positions 3 to 5 was always going to be the crucial section, the difficult section to sift through because of how much quality is there. And a key conclusion to draw from your reading of the statistics just now, unlike the Ultimate Football 11, where you had some categories, for instance, in the midfield, where one man I think had 80% or 70% of the votes. Lara leads, but only with 24.76. That's not to say that Lara isn't a popular selection, but there's so much quality there that the vote gets split across several people, because Ricky Ponting, who doesn't even have a chance, he got 5.95% of the vote. That's significant. So the quality in the positions 3 to 5 are such that Lara, as the leading vote getter online, is not significantly in front of anybody of the rest of the pack. There isn't daylight between him and the others.
Yeah, well, last week, George, we had, as you said, that riveting discussion for batsmen 3 to 5, because there was a split between what the panelists felt and what the zone team felt. The choice between Viv and Bradman for that number 3 spot is what's going to be decided by those votes. Are you surprised that it came down to those 2 for that spot?
No, and I'm very happy with the way the format I think is the key here. The expert panel, the robust debate they had, they have a view and they settled on a view. The zone team, which does not include only the presenters, but everybody who's part of the zone team, they have a say, and that's one thing. But the viewers now have the chance to make the determining outcome about who gets in, and that's what this thing was designed to do, to give the viewer that power, and the weighting gives them that influence on the thing. That is very, very good. Look, maybe, Lance, it's gonna come down to a situation where our producer doesn't have to just do tallying and look at the percentages. You may get into mean and standard deviation and all kind of high mathematics to determine who gets into the Ultimate 11 from based on position.
Okay, well, let's introduce our panel for this Monday and welcome former Jamaica and West Indies all-rounder David Bernard Jr. He played 3 test matches for the West Indies. Regional cricket umpire Chris Taylor, who considers himself an all-rounder as well. Sachin Ramsubag, regional cricket commentator out of Trinidad and Tobago, who did not select Brian Lara in his Ultimate 11. And David Brook, the cricket commentator based in the United Kingdom. Now, we would like to get the opening comments from these gentlemen. We have 12 names. We will cut to 4 in this segment, and then before the segment is out, we'll have to decide on one all-rounder. For many, this isn't a difficult segment, but gentlemen, let's start with David Bernard Jr. as the first rookie on the panel for today. Your thoughts on the all-rounders that first of all catch your eye and the ones that you immediately would say you would not be looking at. Welcome.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me. Looking at the list, there's definitely some quality cricketers, great cricketers nonetheless. The standouts, in my opinion, are Sobers and Callis. Their batting numbers, far outweigh the others. But if you look at it, there's quality through and through, and some of the all-rounders would have excelled in other areas as opposed to some. But there are some there who will be probably easier to cut based on the nature of their career. I think what would qualify an all-rounder to be great is longevity, and if you haven't played over a period of time, having a career of a certain amount of test matches, I don't think it would qualify you of being the all-time great, because being an all-time great would mean that you'd have to be the ultimate all-rounder. That's what we are trying to find in the ultimate 11.
Yeah, okay, well, I think the two that you've mentioned, Sir Garfield Sobers, I think played 20 years of international cricket, and Jacques Callis played about 18 years. Chris Taylor, your quick comments on the attractive all-rounders for you and the ones that aren't so compelling.
Yeah, greetings. I think I think I agree with David as well. Obviously, Jacques Callis and Garfield Sobers stand out as the favourites based on what they have accomplished, how long they have played, and their stats to show against all opposition. But I also agree that there are a lot of quality in here. The interesting thing is we're looking for an all-rounder who can bat at 6. And I think that in itself makes it essential in terms of batting ability, because your 6 is normally a specialist position. So I think for that reason, it made it a little bit easier for me. Sir Richard Hadley, a top bowler in his time, one of the best fast bowlers or one of the best all-rounders of all time, but batting not quite up to scratch, averaging in the mid-20s. And to me, if you're going to bat at number 6, you want to be getting as close to 40 and above as possible. So I think the guys who are borderline 30 in their batting might struggle to get into a number 6 position. Quite a few guys in this list batted generally at number 7 and 8. Yeah. The likes of Kapil Dev, Richard Hadley, Chris Cairns, Sean Pollock. Yeah. Those guys generally batted at 7 and 8 in the order. So for me, apart from those two obvious ones, Imran Khan, I think, stands out as one of the all-time greats. I think he's probably the best of the main 4 all-rounders of the 80s. And I actually like the case of Shakib Al Hassan, a man who has come up in a struggling team. Yes. Not much around him. And his figures are not bad at all, batting at number 5 and 6. And
all right, Chris, let's move on to David Brook and Sachin as well, because I'm told that the all-rounder does not have to be batting at number 6. It depends on where you'd want to place that all-rounder. So don't get riveted in your mind that the all-rounder is decisively a number 6 batsman here. David, in 30 seconds, your quick comments on the all-rounders facing you.
Couple of names that haven't been, good evening Lance, good evening George, couple of names that haven't been singled out yet. Ben Stokes, who's lit up last summer with one of the most extraordinary test match innings of all time, and an incredible run of form that we've seen from him. And of course, Sir Ian Botham, who can't be left out of too many lists. I'm with Imran Khan, Sir Garfield Sobers, of course, standing out for me. Totally agree with what Chris said. Some of these guys, you wouldn't trust them at 6 or 7. Vittori, Cairns, Pollock, Hadley. I'm sorry, I can't have any of them in the all-time all-rounder list.
Okay. Sachin, 30 seconds. Your favourite and those least favoured in this group.
Yeah, man. Good day to all the viewers, and good day to you, Lance, and to George and everybody else as well. Indeed, I think Sobers, I was saying Viv, Sobers should certainly be on top of the list for a list of all-rounders. Jacques Callis, maybe. We've been hearing Imran Khan in and there around as well. And not forgetting Kapil Dev. He's probably the only player to have over 400 wickets and also score 5,000 runs. So that's an interesting fact right there. But of course, my goodness, Sobers, I think that's self-explanatory. This is going to be an easy one, guys. I don't think we're going to have a heated discussion like we did on last Friday.
Yeah, I don't think so either, which is why we're using just one day to decide on the all-rounder. Not that for some people it is that straightforward. What we're going to do of the 12, we're going to put them in groups of 4. You will have to cut down to 4 in this segment before we get into the next segment after the commercial break to decide on the 3 that will be cut from the 4 to leave us with just 1 today. So with that in mind, let's look, gentlemen, at the first 4 and tell me which ones you're going to cut. Remember, we are going to show you 3 groups of 4 And in the next few minutes, we'll have to end up with only 4 all-rounders. David Bernard Jr., which of the 4 currently on screen, Imran Khan, Jacques Kallis, Kapil Dev, Keith Miller, doesn't make your 4?
Keith Miller.
He alone?
Yes.
Okay, remember we have 2 other groups of 4 coming up, so you have to be chopping at the rate that will land you with 4. So you're sure that Keith Miller is the only one that you don't like from this group?
Yes, from this group, Keith Miller.
All right, gentlemen, let's go quickly to let's say Chris Taylor. That first 4, who gets cut for you?
Yeah, for me, in this top 4, I would be cutting Keith Miller and Kapil Dev.
Miller and Kapil Dev. All right, let's move quickly to David Brook. The 2 that will be cut for you from this 4.
I'm going to cut Keith Miller as well, and I'm also going to cut Jacques Kallis from the list. I've talked about this during the week. He's gone as well.
Jacques Kallis. That's shocking, Dave. But let's continue. David, Sachin.
Yeah,
Sachin. Yeah, let's get Sachin.
I'll go with Keith Miller as well. I'll go with Keith Miller as well. Shocking that Jacques Kallis is out there for David. My goodness.
All right, let's go to the next 4 then. So from the 4 that we just presented, Keith Miller is consistently out, George. So,
gone.
Yeah, he's gone for sure. So we now have Hadley. This is our second 4. Hadley, Al Hassan, Pollock, and Danny Vittori. David Bernard Jr., who gets cut from this list? I think you'll cut a lot here because you only cut 1 from the first 4.
Yes. And I'll cut Hadley and Dan Vittori.
Hadley and Vittori out for you.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Chris Taylor, who gets cut from this group for you?
I only retain Shakib Al Hassan from this.
Okay, so Pollock, Vittori, and Hadley are out for you. David Brook, who gets cut from this 4?
Yeah, I'm not retaining any of these, Lance. I'm afraid they've all got to go.
Wow, brutal.
Got to be brutal.
David, yeah. All right, and Sachin, who gets cut from this group?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the same standing as David. All 4. I'm sorry.
All 4 gone. What does that mean?
Yep, all 4.
Okay, so several gone from this group then for consistency. Vittori for sure. Didn't more than one say? Well, several said all 4. So
yeah, only David Bernard
Hadley would be out as well.
Right, only David Bernard selected Hadley and Pollock, I think.
Yes.
Chris was using only Shakib Al Hassan, and then David Brook said all 4, and Sachin said all 4.
All 4 as well.
Vittori, Pollock, and Hadley are busted flushes. They're gone.
Are gone.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at the final group of 4 then, and see who will be left standing after this. This is numbers 9 through 12. Stokes, Cairns, Sobers, and Botham. They call him Beefy. David Bernard Jr. This last group of 4. Who is out for you?
Let me get this straight before I give my answer. After I finish all 3 groups of 4, I have to be left with 4 all-rounders only.
Yes, and you have 5 already.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you want to revisit someone that you weren't sure about earlier on, I don't think you should use this last group 4 to make your final decision. If it is that you are wavering a bit, you will have a little time to look back on your earlier assessments, and then you just want to be sure that you end up with the 4 that you want. So
I think I have enough time to get the 4 that I want, so let's go ahead and see what this 4 has to offer.
All right, so of this 4, is there anyone you would cut immediately?
Yes, Chris Cairns, well, everybody except Garfield Sobers.
Oh, so all 3, Stokes, Cairns, and Botham goes for D. Bernard. All right, let's move to Chris Taylor. Who gets cut from this group for you, Chris?
I have to go to New Zealand. I don't think Chris Cairns. I think Chris Cairns is out of this for sure. And Beefy a little bit too inconsistent, especially to the back end of his career. I would cut Beefy as well. Sir Garfield Sobers obviously remains, and let's see. Leave Ben Stokes for now.
Okay, so Botham and Cairns will go for Chris. Let's move to David Brook, the Englishman. I don't expect him to cut Botham, will he? David?
Well, no, I'm not going to cut him, Lance. You're absolutely right with your prediction there. We talked last week about the importance of the things beyond just mere statistics. Both of them as a talisman for our whole team, man capable of turning a whole game single-handedly, bringing so much entertainment and heroics to a side like this. And I think he's got to remain for me. The only one I'm going to cut from those four is Chris Cairns, who's again doesn't stand up to comparison with these other greats.
Okay, so Stokes, Sobers, and Botham remain from this group for David Brook. Sachin, Ramsubag, who stays from this group for you?
I'm gonna remain with Sir Garfield Sobers alone. Ben Stokes, Chris is gone, and Ian Botham as well.
All right, so we've got the run through, George, of all three of the groups of four. We have to end with four to close this segment before we go to a commercial break and come back to decide on one. So let's see now, based on the producer's tally, who are definitely out and who remain, so that we can make the step toward four, if it is we aren't there yet.
Yeah. No, we aren't there.
Okay, yeah, I don't think we are either. So we have three remaining from this group.
Yes.
From the second group, none remaining. And from the third group, we have two remaining. So we have five.
Yeah.
So we have five. So, gentlemen, we've got to cut one player before the commercial break. And the players remaining that you will have to select from, I think David Bernard Jr. will be very happy with this, because he has an opportunity to assess exactly what's in front of him. So Imran Khan, Jacques Kallis, Kapil Dev, Ben Stokes, and Sir Garfield Sobers are the five remaining. Let's start with you, David Bernard. Of that five, who is out for you, leaving the four?
I would definitely take out Kapil Dev. I think his batting average is a little bit dodgy at 31. The rest are better than he is.
All right.
So I go for Dev out.
Okay. David Bernard takes Kapil Dev out. Chris Taylor, who are you taking out?
Yeah, I think Kapil Dev over his career has been weaker than the rest. Worse strike rate with the ball, average a bit lower with the bat and ball. So for me, the Indian misses out here, Kapil Dev.
Yes.
He would be the one to be X'd out of these five.
All right. Well, if one more person says Dev, then we're sure that he is out. David Brook, who is out for you?
Yeah, I'm going to also go with Kapil Dev, it hasn't quite got enough consistency. With the bat, so I'll concur there with my colleagues.
Okay, so we don't need to go any further because Dev is out. But just for the record, Sachin, would Dev have been out for you if the choice came to you?
Absolutely not. I think Kapil Dev, he was a really standout player in the 70s and 80s. Apart from him leading the Indian team at certain times and certain intervals, I'll tell you what, 400 wickets, 5,000 runs plus. Additionally, he was the fastest to 1,000 runs and 100 wickets as well in Test cricket. So apart from those things, seriously, I'm not too sure how Kapil Dev was left out.
Okay, so who would you leave out if you were in the balancing decision?
I would have left out Ben Stokes. His career isn't just finished as yet. He's set for greatness. Yes, I agree. But we have to evaluate when he finishes his career.
Okay, Sachin, great on you for your assessment. Kapil Dev, a big name, huge name, the greatest Indian all-rounder of all time. But he is out, George.
Yeah, I'm with Sachin on this one. I find it unconscionable that gentlemen of this wisdom are ditching Kapil Dev have ditched Kapil Dev in the way they have. Up to 2002, serving in India, this man was the #1 cricketer all time, above Sachin, although Sachin's career still had legs to go. And where he had to do his work, it's not where most of these guys have had to do their work. I mean, woe betide a fast bowler on the pitches that Kapil Dev took his wickets on. And I think he's too colossal a figure to have not made the last four, but the panel has spoken.
Yeah, well, the panel has spoken, as you just said. So we're down to four. We are going to a commercial break. The four left standing to choose one all-rounder on this SportsMax Cricket Ultimate 11. We're about to assess them after the break. Sobers, Kallis, Imran Khan, and Ben Stokes. Back after this.
Back with us on the SportsMax Zone, the SportsMax Ultimate 11. Today is a tad more sedate than other days have been on this show. We're only selecting one all-rounder. We're doing that selection today, and the discussion not quite as rip-roarious as happened last week when positions 3 to 5 were debated, but it is still riveting stuff because now is when the players are going to go head-to-head. The comparisons will be made, and men will disagree with the opinions of other men. The panel and the Zone team are selecting the SportsMax Ultimate Test 11 all-rounder today, as we said. Don't forget that our Ultimate Test 11 discussions will be followed by debate and ultimately, pun intended, selections for the Ultimate ODI and Ultimate T20 11s. The all-rounders, of course, were cut to 4 in segment 1. Lance marshalled that segment, and now we have to choose just one. Depending on where you are in the world, you'll hear the names Garfield Sobers or Jacques Kallis proffered as the greatest all-rounder of all time. And before we get into the debate, let's see how their numbers match up. This is the head-to-head Kallis versus Sobers. So 93 games for the legendary Barbadian, 8,032 runs, 57.78 batting average, 26 centuries, 30 times a half century registered, 109 catches, 235 wickets, 34.03 his bowling average, a strike rate 91.9 for the barrel-chested South African, 166 matches, so 73 more, beg your pardon, than Sir Garfield, 13,289 runs, 55.37 his batting average, 45 centuries, 45 centuries, there's no typo in that column, 58 half centuries, 200 catches, 8 shy of 300 wickets, 32.65 his bowling average, and 69.2 the strike rate. All right, let's get into the debate. I want to give the freshest of our panelists first crack. David Bernard Jr., talk to me. We have a field of 4, but it can only be one. Who are you looking at and why?
I'm definitely looking at Sir Gary. Reason being that batting average of 55, world record, former world record holder. You have 3 bowlers in one, slow left arm, a Chinaman, and a left arm seamer. I know the numbers. Jacques Kallis played more tests, has more runs, but the ultimate all-rounder, in my opinion, in my team, would be somebody that is as capable as a batsman. If you look at cricket today, normally in Test cricket you play 4 bowlers and the all-rounder would slot in at the 5th bowler. That means my all-rounder would be more tailored to being a batsman, and Sobers can definitely fill that void in my team, as well as he gives me a world of options with his variety in his bowling. So my pick for the ultimate all-rounder would be Gary Sobers.
But David, if I may provoke you quickly, you said in your first statement when Lance came to you in the first segment that one of the hallmarks of an ultimate all-rounder for you is durability. Isn't Kallis, by virtue of playing 73 tests more, proving the argument that you made that he's a far more durable campaigner and hence deserving of your vote to be the ultimate test all-rounder?
You'd have to look at the eras in which they played cricket. More cricket was being played in Kallis' era. So if Sobers was in this era, certainly would have played that many games. And how the numbers stacks up between both of them, it shows that their performance was on par. So obviously Sobers would have qualified for the longevity tick as well as Kallis. But in my opinion, Sobers is the more complete cricketer. He offers more in terms of his bowling. Batting average is higher, so I would go for Sir Gary.
The considered opinion of David Bernard Jr., clearly he did some proration of Kallis and Sobers' career and said that 166 tests is equivalent to 93, given the regularity with which Kallis played, and those opportunities weren't afforded to Sir Gary. Chris Taylor, let me hear you on this. 4 standing, only 1 will be selected. Who and why?
Yeah, I agree with David at the end of the day. I think it really comes down to those 2 stalwarts at the end. I am certainly favoring Sir Gary. I think both have been durable. As David said, in this era you play more matches. If you look at Sir Garfield's career, it's just about, in fact, it might even have been longer than Kallis in terms of years.
20 years to 19 years.
Correct. So I just think that Sir Gary, in terms of the biggest difference for me, I think David alluded to this in an earlier show. Kallis' innings, a lot of them are not memorable. a lot of them were not necessarily pushing South Africa to victory or getting South Africa over the line. I think Sir Gary played many match-winning innings for the West Indies. Certainly turned around the whole West Indies unit within that era when West Indies were trying to find their feet. And certainly all the top bowlers of that time, Sir Garfield Sobers dominated them. I never forget in the latter part of his career when Dennis Lilly was very bombshell and so on and thought to himself that he would manhandle Sir Garfield. And Sir Garfield took him to the cleaners in the 1970s and so on. And I agree with David. I think he gives a lot more options. He's a left-hander. In my team, I want my all-rounder to bat at 6 in the team I'm picking. So I definitely need him to be more of a specialist batsman, which both can fill. Sir Garfield has also batted as a number 5 and 6. Jack Callis hasn't. He's always batted as a 3 and a 4. And I just like the variety that Sir Garfield gives. I mean, he's certainly, to me, better in the field and more versatile. And he gives that left-arm orthodox, left-arm Chinaman. He can bowl medium pace. He can bowl fast as well. And for my team, which, well, later on you'll see won't have any left-handers, he brings that variety as a left-arm seamer, which adds diversity to my attack. So for me, Sir Garfield was more complete as a player, both as a match winner and in terms of what he brings on the field.
All right, the viewers will understand why I'm going to go to David Brook last, because he set his stall out on the first day of this Ultimate 11 discussion. Sachin, based on what Chris Taylor and David Bernard Jr. have said, they've compared both men in this way. Both men are multi-platinum selling hip-hop artists, but whereas Jacques Callis was sold more records than Sir Garfield is concerned, when you go to the club, nobody's playing Jacques Callis. They're playing the Sir Gary Sobers records and everybody's dancing. And yeah, you've sold more records, but you have less hits. Is that about fair? Is that what you're agreeing with in terms of the comparison between Sir Gary and Callis?
Well, to answer your question directly, when you sell more records, obviously you have more money in your pocket. But at this position, both of them are really billboard artists, if you want to put it into that analogy. However, playing 73 more matches in that era, in the 1950s and 60s, I mean, air transport would have been a little tougher than it is now. Are you talking about Jacques Callis flying first class on maybe Emirates or one of these airlines? So many more matches to be played in lots of comfort as well. So it really allows him the opportunity to score 45 centuries and so much more half centuries as well. 13,000 runs. That's something really spectacular. I agree with everybody else who is saying probably now Jacques Callis should really be the man there, scoring 13,000 as you see on your screen. My goodness, that's really a feat. However, if you're talking about a man who is versatile, who can add some flavor to your pot, if your frontline bowlers don't really pick up all your necessary wickets, your openers, your middle order batsmen, Sir Gary just jumps in there, bowls is either left arm orthodox or left arm Chinaman googly. You just choose which one, and Sir Garfield can really do it. He can also open the bowling if you choose that way as well with his left arm medium fast. You know what? It's unexplainable. This man, his talent, his records, his nature, it is just certainly over leaps and bounds, unparalleled. Sir Garfield is the man.
Yeah, my producers asked me to put this question to David Brook as we get the comments from the full panel. He said, why not consider Callis's bowling average and Callis's strike rate with the ball as being far superior to Sir Gary's? Of course, the weight of runs is tilted heavily in the favor of the South African, and that the strike rate, the bowling strike rate and the bowling average should make the South African get more respect from the panelists giving him so far. David, I'm going to put that one to you. Brook.
Well, yes, thanks, George. No disrespect intended to Jacques Callis when I excluded him from the batting list on the grounds that I couldn't remember any of his innings, even though I've watched quite a few of them. I feel kind of the same way about his bowling. And, you know, there's a difference. You mentioned the DJ thing. Sobers is a floor filler. Callis would clear the floor. You put a record on of Jacques Callis, where's everyone gone? When you're talking about an ultimate Test 11, I think you want memorable players that have left a lasting impact on the game. I ask you, who's made the lasting impact on the game of cricket, Jacques Callis or Sir Garfield Sobers? But in case this should become a two-horse race, I've still got Imran Khan, which I'd like to talk about up my sleeve. But just on this particular battle, it's a one-horse race for me. Sir Garfield Sobers, I'm humbled to even mention his name, such as his greatness in all capacities of the game. And that's all I can say on the subject.
All right, gentlemen, we can stop this here, but I just want to do one more thing before we go to what the online numbers are, and I reveal to you what the zone team came up with in terms of their all-rounders. If it is that relative to Sir Garfield, there are so many things which put the West Indian streets ahead of the outstanding South African. I'm even struggling to say great South African, the outstanding South African. Of the 4 men we've shortlisted, is Kallis the obvious second pick for this ultimate 11 all-rounder spot, given that there's such a chasm between himself and Sir Gary? And I'm just going to go around the room and for you to give me, if not Jacques Kallis, who would be your reserve ultimate 11 all-rounder? I'll start with you, Chris Taylor.
Certainly, David alluded to him a while ago. Imran Khan, I think of the great all-rounders in the 1980s and late 70s, Imran Khan was the best of the 4. Between him, Botham, Hadley, and Kapil Dev.
Yeah.
I think Imran Khan is probably the most outstanding cricketer.
So he would be your plan B if you couldn't get Sir Gary, you take Imran Khan as your backup.
Well, as you say, other than Kallis, obviously Kallis' numbers are hard to ignore. But apart from those two, Imran Khan is one knocking at the heels for sure.
All right, David Bernard Jr., let me hear you. If you couldn't get Sir Gary in this team, of the other 3 gentlemen, who would you pick?
It would definitely be the man second to him, and that's Jack Kallis, in my opinion.
Hear you on that. David Brook, if you couldn't get Sir Gary, who of the final 4 would you take?
I would take Imran Khan, a wonderful bowler who actually increased in speed as he went on in his Test career, became known not just for his prodigious swing, but also pace. Stylish batsman, very effective. And what leadership qualities. Mark my words, this man could lead a whole country in the future.
For sure. Well, there you go. Sachin, same question for you quickly. If not Sir Gary, who as your all-rounder?
I'm evenly balanced right now, so I really need to be persuaded. It's between Jacques Kallis and Imran Khan, merely because of his leadership style, Imran Khan I'm talking about. But as David said, Jacques cannot be ignored due to his so much. I mean, the great stats, the batting, the bowling. He's one of the greatest all-rounders of all time, second to Sir Garfield. But you know what? I think Imran Khan will be a very good option as my position number 2. He can be our communication specialist as well.
There you go. It's almost like Sharapova retiring, Lance, as a Wimbledon, a multiple Grand Slam champion. And I rarely hear anybody say the great Maria Sharapova, but that's another argument for another time. All right, online, the numbers are showing Sir Garfield Sobers 42.54% of the online votes, Jacques Kallis 26.59%, and Beefy Ian Botham, the former Somerset man, coming in third, 17.32%. What did the zone team select? The zone team has several knowledgeable cricket heads in the group, and who did they plumb for as their all-rounder of choice? No surprise there. The only living national hero in the Caribbean, Lance Whitaker, Sir Garfield Sobers. We're out of time, gentlemen. This was easy. We could have done this with tea and croissants on the table. We'll invite you back for a robust discussion when we get down to the wicket-keeper, and of course when we try to pick the bowlers and put them into this SportsMax Ultimate 11. Remember, viewers, your vote is worth 40%, and your vote will determine who of Sir Donald Bradman or Sir Vivian Richards gets in as the other batsman in the middle order. That vote hinges on your selection, because the zone panel have done their bit, the panel of experts has done their bit. It's up to you now to go to sportsmax.tv, Ultimate 11 tab, and vote for who should get into that number 5 batsman spot. Is it Sir Viv? Is it Sir Don? You will decide, because you have a 40% say in the outcome. And of course, online, you can continue voting until May 22, and we'll make the big reveal a few days after voting closes. The Ultimate 11 will take shape right here. And after that, we'll have the Ultimate T2011 and the Ultimate Team in 1 day.